Welcome to the Collaborative Resource Hub by Wellness Provisions. Our mission is to bridge the gap between mental health, wellness, and music, specifically rock and roll. I'm Amy McBride, owner of Wellness Provisions, the most badass wellness business. Wellness Provisions supplies rock and rollers with high-quality supplements. We give you a trustworthy place to go where you can essentially shop blindfolded. Our wellness kits were created out of a need to simplify your shopping experience and make it stress-free. You'll get the most effective nutrients in the least amount of bottles with the least trial and error. Visit the Collaborative Resource Hub for helpful resources that can nudge you in the right direction when you're ready to incorporate some wellness into your life. My goal is to facilitate inspiration. You don't have to feel alone. I know that's easier said than done, but if that guy did it, so can you. Let's inspire each other. Last but not least, my legal disclaimer: nothing in this interview or the Collaborative Resource Hub substitutes medical advice. Please connect with your GP if you need medical guidance. Hello, friends. I am Amy, the owner of Wellness Provisions and the mastermind of the Collaborative Resource Hub. This will be the first interview that some of you are watching, and perhaps down the road, it will be maybe the sixth interview that some of you are watching. But this video is going to kick off the Collaborative Resource Hub and kind of launching that project. So as you heard from the intro, the Collaborative Resource Hub is bridging the gap between mental health, wellness, and music, specifically rock and roll. So this interview is done with Allie Epstone of Mindwave Meditation, who's a buddy of mine. And I wanted to let people know the why behind the Collaborative Resource Hub, the why behind Wellness Provisions, just for any inquiring minds, and because I love to talk about myself. So enjoy this interview and kind of figuring out more about the back end of the business and this project that means a lot to me. And I'm very excited to start getting all of these interviews out and really connecting with people. So enjoy. All right, it's recording.
All right, well, I'm sorry I'm late, but I was making my tea. You know that I can't.
I'm not surprised. What kind is it?
Oh, don't put me on the spot. You know I don't know the names of teas. It's Red Bush.
Okay.
There we go.
It's very red.
Oh yeah, I always have a massive vat of tea. Way more than a normal person would drink. But
is that a French press?
I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, it is. Yes, it is. Is it a French press? I don't know.
I don't know. That's what they're called.
This is how we go down tangents. Like when today we're actually talking about you and your whole business and what it all means to you as well, Amy. So your people, your followers and friends to be will be all informed and stuff, just like the person you met in the shop the other day.
Yeah, that was so weird.
Tell me about that again.
Yeah, so I went in there to buy some stuff at a health food shop. And then I guess when I had gone in, there were two people working behind the counter. And when I went to check out, one of them, the woman was like, "You looked familiar when you came in." And I was like, "I don't know." And she was like, "I realized I watched."
You're like, who me?
Oh.
Oh, yes, it is I, yes.
But so she was like, "I was just watching your videos on Instagram and like learning stuff." And she's like, "You're entertaining." And I was like, "Hey, thanks." And so like we chatted and stuff. And, she asked about the business and I gave her a business card, even though she already knows how to find me. But
that's pretty cool though. Like pretty random and, get ready for more of that.
Now I can't look like shit when I'm out and about. I gotta dress nicely.
That's the thing. Like every time you leave the door, you're like, "Oh wait, I can't go out like this." People see me now. God, yeah. Maybe we should all think a little bit like that, so we're not walking around in those jogging bottoms where, the ones where people can see you. The guy's bits. I don't know how to say it any other way, but like I see these people, I'm like, "Oh, dude, you can't do that."
Yeah, well, and it goes for the same for the women. You can see the women's bits too, so it's not good.
Yeah, people step it up. All right, well, on that note,
back on track.
I had some questions for you, and I thought you'd enjoy answering them. And I've got 8 big questions. So if you don't mind, would you allow me to ask you all about you?
Yes, I will agree to talk about myself in the business. It's on.
All right. So I noticed when I was sort of dabbling around wellness provisions that I see this name Welly P, and it keeps on popping out, and I get it. It's wellness provisions. You know, I'm always thinking like that. Quick.
Right.
And
good with the
huh?
acronyms. Good with the acronyms.
Correct. But I just wondered, I wanted to hear from your voice what Welly P wellness provisions is. How does it kind of like, say you go in a shop and someone says, oh my God, I know you. You're from the, and you're like Welly P, and they're like, yeah. And they say, what is that? What do you say?
The most badass wellness business. So I like how you're playing it cool. The Welly P was actually brought to the table by a very smart, funny, witty person. You.
Dave. Our friend Dave. Yeah, that's true. No, I but you know, in all the joking aside, because that we can do a lot of, what it is a badass wellness business, but what does it kind of entail? What's the kind of like, describe it to a child?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So basically it's supplements. Wellness Provisions, affectionately known as Welly P, sells high quality supplements in wellness kits, which is not normal for this industry. I created them out of my head after like about going on 20 years in the supplements, organic food, natural industry. Taking like trying to make the shopping experience stress-free and easy for the consumer, because it's overwhelming trying to get supplements and what works and what are trusted brands. And the more wellness is trending, the more saturated the market is becoming, and
Right.
the more, untrustworthy companies are creeping in. And especially with like Amazon, like you don't know what's real. And it makes me sad when people buy shitty supplements. So I wanted to create like a space that is like, you can shop blindfolded basically. So the wellness kits, I take like pretty much two of like the most effective products that help the most amount of people, and then pair them. So you can just be like, okay, well, this is my issue. Here's the kit. And very likely it'll work.
Chopping out the middleman.
Yeah.
Or middle woman.
Right.
Let's be politically correct. There's all those middle women out there going like, what about us?
Right. So I guess I'm a woman. I should.
You're just a woman cutting out the middle one. But like, is it kind of like in essence, like people, they know they need to take vitamin C and then they go and get the bog standard one, but it's like super low dose. And like, but I'm doing the vitamin C, and you're like, no, you're not.
Right. Yeah. So it could be like dosing, or just like the actual, like the source of the C. So like the vitamins pretty much, I mean, I should bring in a vitamin C, but I don't have a vitamin C. But like for the multis, for example, they are food sourced. So the nutrients is literally coming from food, from herbs, from plants. And the alternative would be man-made, synthetic, in a lab, or like vitamin C from like, could be often GMO corn, where there's high ascorbic acid, but then you're getting like just this one component and not all the other cofactors that are important to help the absorbency. So
because it loses that as soon as you, sure. I guess the pharmaceutical industry, they like everything is based on like, natural plant medicine.
Yeah,
usually, and then they take the tiniest bit, and then that's just gone out there when they go, natural, and you're like, no.
Right. Yeah, because isolated, what do you want to say, compounds, I guess, just they don't work as well. And they can often have, when they're modified and all that kind of stuff, they can have adverse effects. Like I just did the video on white willow bark, which the active compound in that is salicylic acid. And then Bayer came in and modified that, and it's now a different form where it's acetylsalicylic acid, which actually has damaging effects on the GI health.
Oh, right.
So when you start fucking with stuff, it fucks with you.
Yeah, of course. Oh, I mean, it's crazy how people don't know about. Well, that's why you're here, I guess, to
Right.
kind
And
of
so that's what I
break
want
down
to
all
do.
that.
Yeah. And like, so I've been doing little videos to try and, chat with people on how to pick good stuff, and then just weird facts that nobody actually needs to know about different, herbal remedies and stuff. Like
Like the
OSHA is a root that grows, for example, like in the Rocky Mountains, and bears will munch on OSHA when they come out of hibernation and stuff. Like nobody needs to know that, but it's cool. So it's in the video.
But it takes people like you, though, who've kind of, just got a bit of a kind of like got charisma, and you've got something to say, and it's just like getting all this crazy knowledge that's out there and just kind of putting it in a nice format. So you're like, hey, do you relate to me? Because if you do, I can explain this and talk about all those amazing supplements. So you just break down the walls, I guess, which is cool.
Yeah.
Talking of which, while I was having a little root around, this is me rooting around.
Yeah. Because you have to type the whole time you're looking.
yeah, of course. There's like not actually typing anything, but just. So you've got wellness provisions, aka Well EP, for the street kids out there to kind of really relate. So you get that kind of respect. I get that. You also have I nearly said CFH, Cowboys from Hell, but it's not. It's CRH.
Yeah.
Could you expand on that, please?
Yes, I will. Great question.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. I was up all night thinking of that one.
The collaborative.
Oh, sorry. Do you mind if I pour my tea while you answer this?
Please, because I can keep talking about it, and you can start drinking your tea as well.
Quite.
So yeah, CRH is the abbreviation for the Collaborative Resource Hub, which is a new project that I am super pumped about, and it's bridging the gap, which when this interview plays, one will have heard the intro already, briefly explaining it, but bridging the gap between mental health, wellness, and music, specifically rock and roll.
That's pretty, that's a niche thing that you've mustered up there.
Yeah, because I feel like, well, I guess, do you want to know how it sort of came about?
Yeah, I guess I do. I think that's what I was kind of, that's what that face was for. Like,
what you're pulling at.
Yeah.
Okay, so you, Allie, from Mindwave Meditation, offer cool shit to help give people, like a push forward. And I push myself forward, but did some work with you, and you like basically pushed me faster and more. Okay. So
yeah.
With working with you, you mentioned, you're like, I see like you doing something with music, with the wellness stuff. And like, I don't know, I kept like actively thinking about it. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Like, I don't know how, like, how do you make it click, And then one day I read an article on Rolling Stone about mental health issues, suicide and depression and mental illness rising in the music industry, and how it is becoming more, people want to talk about it more and bring light to it and destigmatize it. So this article was awesome. And all of a sudden it struck me, those are the people I want to talk to, who would be in a place in their life where they would be ready to incorporate supplements, or ready to, be made aware of like valuable resources.
And I guess you, with all your background in like music and that kind of culture that comes with it, it kind of like sits together perfectly when you can be that kind of bridge for someone through your experience, and it's just effortless because it's like, oh, these are my passions. So is that why you're passionate about it? Because it is your life, it's your background, like, is that what fuels it, kind of thing?
Yeah, so it's like various backgrounds. So it's like music, and like I was a punk rocker and all this stuff, and I'm wearing a Dead Boys shirt right now. which is actually completely torn up the side as well. Like,
of course.
But so music and then wellness, I mean, that's since, or like 17 or 18 or something, I've been into this stuff. And then, so I personally just, there you go.
Sorry. We'll call it the side lean, just to kind of keep you kind of, on it. He's good.
Yeah, so music, wellness, and then I myself, like, again, like, I'm a pretty resilient person, and I've always gotten through shit on my own.
Mm-hmm.
So I consider myself a strong person, but I seem to attract a lot of people with mental illness or mental health, issues that come about.
Can I just pause you there? As one of the things that I do when I'm working with this is, I thought the same thing, and then realized, just as a lesson to anyone watching and learning as well from you, that even hearing that kind of I attract, that's the self-fulfilling prophecy there that we're doing as well by repeating it. And it's so crazy because I did the same thing. I was attracting a lot of those kind of lost souls. I totally get it. And then you have to kind of go, oh, actually, so you create the products for those people, and then you like, who do I want to attract? So, I started rewording it, but unpause.
Yeah. So, yeah, like a buddy of mine, he's sort of been, I guess, like the driving compassion, I guess, in this area for me. I've known him for like 15 years, and he's a musician. He's bipolar. He's had a lot of like ups and downs and stuff. And like, I don't know, I hold him close in my heart. And so like, and he's doing well now. Like, he's been sober for like a year and stuff like that. But I don't know. I see this. I mean, I've been with him through some of the struggles, and like, if I can make information available or have someone relate to someone else through these interviews with other musicians and stuff, and just kind of like help nudge people in a good direction, like that would make me happy. Because like, I know like what he's been through, and like shit like this could have, potentially helped him sooner, stuff like that.
So your personal kind of like, your fuel for this is basically everything you've kind of been through, the culture you've surrounded yourself in, or cultures, and now it's kind of come together in like a melting pot, like you say, bridging the gap.
Yeah.
It's like you can finally go, oh, I can take all this stuff and use it and actually give back and connect with people like me and like all those other people, the dude in the store. Yeah. It's and these little things, like you even having the records behind you, like it helps, like it helps me relax as a musician on some level. I didn't think about that till I'm literally speaking now, but it's like seeing records makes me go, oh, I'm in a safe space.
Well, it's interesting because as I've been doing the interviews, I mean, I guess, I don't know, people say I'm a warm person, and people are comfortable around me, but I wonder, like, if maybe this helps. But like, everyone just in the interviews, they've been like very comfortable just talking and stuff. So maybe it's that's
why I have this background. Because I like to keep people, like feeling
a sterile environment.
Yeah, that's the environment I want to create here. All right, so that's cool. So I've wrapped my head around that. I guess the one thing I was kind of wondering about was like, one thing that hasn't come out so much from looking at your stuff, and maybe it isn't there, is do you have any personal sorry to be so deep, but any addictions or any kind of like mental illness or anything like that in your own life?
No, but
next question.
Yeah, no, next. I mean, if I get down, I remember like 13 years old or something, I would start, that's like when I started getting into punk rock, and like I would write, I hate this word, but poetry.
Why do you hate the word poetry?
I don't know. It just seems so
fluffy.
That, and just like, I don't know, vulnerable, but not like in a way that like is okay, but it just seems like, I don't know. It just seems silly.
Yeah, if you ever have a word that's just heavy, just say poetry. Change your face and do that, and then it just like turns into a whole different thing. Like, oh, I'm into poetry. Yeah.
There you go. Now it's like.
But I know what you mean. It's because it is it exposes you, doesn't it? It's like
But like the poetry, I guess. Like basically, I was writing songs. I don't play music either. I tried to learn how to play guitar, and that seemed really hard. So I enjoy listening to music. But I was basically like writing songs, but that's how I process, difficult things. So I've always written, I've always had journals. That's like my main way to like deal with shit. And I mean, one whole fucking journal could be like the same issue I'm dealing with, but at some point I'll talk myself through it and figure out and get over it,
It's like songs, like I realized like a whole batch of songs have just been about addiction, but like nobody knows because nobody asked. So it's like my therapy, and it's like a whole batch of them. And then it's like your journals, like they're just for you.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't need to have a heavy addiction and go through rehab and stuff to have a mild form of something where you can just casually and easily journal it and manage it that way, which is really cool.
Because I mean, the goal is to get the thoughts out of your head. So
yeah,
however you get them out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've always journaled. And I mean, if I feel like sad or down or something, I mean, usually within 1 to 8 hours, I'm like back up and plowing forward.
I love that gap between 1 and 8 hours.
Yeah,
it's like
there. 8.5.
It's like the postman. Yeah. It's like the post when they say, we'll be there between Tuesday and Sunday. And you're like, okay. So with the music element then, like, is that, I mean, you say you're a punk rocker, and like, I just want to know, like, where did that come from? Because, that's one of those things that when I know from experience as well, when you get into punk rock, it's not like you casually just kind of dip your toe into punk rock. You're either
You know what? You're buying bondage pants and you're shaving in a mohawk.
Yeah, but really, right? It's like where did that come in for you, and where did it take you? Like,
well, my brother, who's 2 years older than me, we basically got in the scene at the same time, but he, through friends in high school, kind of was getting in first, and then I guess I came in like a few steps behind him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I don't know, I've always been like kind of weird and doing my own thing, I guess, and into like art. So I guess that kind of sets you up to like take that path of like, I'm just going to be me.
Isn't it funny how like when you're at school and you are the weird one, and it's funny at school, everyone's like, they've either got like a pet horse, they're into punk rock, they're like they do that Warhammer stuff. Everyone's got their own thing, and everyone feels like an outsider, but you're like a bunch of people all as an outsider. But then if you're into punk or you're a goth, it's like another level of outsider.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this,
yeah.
So in middle school, one of my neighbor, he was like a classic nerd, and I'm rather small and petite. Okay, so imagine me as a middle schooler. I mean, I'm like what, maybe like 80 something pounds. I don't know, like just little. But I beat the shit out of this kid who was easily like 3 or 4 times my size at the bus stop. Because
for any reason, or
yeah, no, Amy went crazy.
Amy's going bananas.
Everyone made fun of my neighbor, and I was walking home, and then I dropped my backpack, and I stopped, and I turned around and started to go back, and everyone's circled around him, like making fun of him, and I'm like, fuck this, and everyone's like, oh my god, Amy's coming back. And I walked over there, and I just started wailing on this kid, and he got some good like punches and kicks and stuff on me, but I won, and no one made fun of my neighbor anymore. So like, I'm the weird one, but I still fight for the underdog.
I like how you piece that all together. I'm not going to go in there. I'll leave that as it was. It was so all right. So just before we move on, if you don't mind, I just because naturally I'm interested and really love this sort of stuff. Like, where did like that came in, the punk rock thing, and then did you know at that time, if you can kind of jump back into the mindset of that sort of 14, 15, 16-year-old self, like all this stuff that you're doing now, like obviously we know, it'd be a silly question, like, did you ever imagine you'd be doing this now? No. Like,
That
lame question, dude. But like, if someone talked about wellness, and I mean, it wasn't really a thing, but like, would you, as that kid, been open at all at that point, or would it have just been like, shut down, this isn't my thing, I'm into punk rock and that's it? Because let's face it, and I've been a punk rocker, that's it, that's your thing, and everything else is no. And I'm only asking because if anybody's watching that can relate to you, hopefully they can kind of expand that mind to just see outside of the punk rock grip almost. Right. Yeah, it's fucking cool, but it is like, more so than most genres of music, it's very like, if you're in the club, you're in, and you're not allowed to like anything else. Like, it's a funny one. It's a real funny one.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so when I was 14, I am answering your question, but including some of the bits. So when I was 14, I started screen printing t-shirts because, again, I'm little, and back then in like the late 90s, you couldn't find like band t-shirts that fit. Everything was like larges and extra larges back then. Yeah. So I was like, well, I need some fucking t-shirts. So I taught myself how to screen print, so I would have shirts to wear. And then I realized, like, wait a minute, no one else has shirts in these sizes. So I started a business called Pure Mania, screen printing punk shirts in youth, large, small, and medium. That's it. And it did really well. Like, the business did very well. I had it for 6 years, sold internationally, and like had like repeat customers. And
that's crazy.
And actually, one of my customers, his name's Ryan. So we've been friends for 20 years. I met him through Pure Mania, and now he's actually drawing part of the component for the flyer that will promote this project.
That's amazing.
But so I had Pure Mania, and then through like a mutual friend, this dude wanted a Generation X t-shirt. So I started talking with him, and then we ended up like, he became like my first like real boyfriend. And we dated mostly like on and off for like 6 years. But when I was 15, he was the one who like, he used echinacea, he used stevia, he
was the plant.
So right. He was the one that kind of like introduced me to all this stuff. And
of course back then as well, like echinacea, it's almost like, why are you taking that? Like, that stuff is just crazy.
Yeah, in the early 2000s, like, it wasn't, I mean, of course, this shit's been around, and there's always been groups of people who are in it, but, it wasn't as prevalent then.
Yeah. And especially for a punk rock kid. Yeah. And of course you get the crossovers if you've got like maybe the hippie parents, or you've got like the older brother or sister or that guy or that girl. Yeah. And it's the same with music. Like, they always joke about like the older brother. It's right. Like that, everyone's got like the older brother or someone's older brother who goes, hey, do you want to hear these records? Like, and then it blew my mind, and I found the whole, it's the same with health as well. And it's the same for me. Like, I was at a really difficult place in my life, and my wife just had this knowledge of health, and she just kind of took over this, and we just started, right, you're doing this, try this. And over time, you just build up this knowledge, and you go at your own pace, and you try things. And sometimes you might do a supplement for a long time, and then read up about it that it's actually maybe not good for you. And it's just a journey, isn't it? Has it been like that for you, weaving in?
Yeah, I mean, there's trial and error. And I mean, like, I've had my own health kind of stuff that I've used, or like when my mom went through menopause, I got like super heavy into researching about that. Or like, my dad had
shout out to mom.
Yep. mom. She so I get like into the stuff and research a lot. I forget where I was going with that thought.
Well, I was saying, like, I meant kind of like when learning all this stuff is like for you, because you had a passion for it, so you're absorbing all this stuff and you're obviously reading about it constantly. And like, but I was just kind of, I guess I'm just trying to piece the story together of like the punk rock kid doing the Pure Mania stuff and just, focusing on that. And then you've met this guy who's kind of this stuff's coming in, and then it's like, what happens there? When did you start like turning the pages and like it
I
becoming
got a
part of
job
your
at
life?
Whole Foods.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
When I
Yeah.
graduated high school. So like that was my first real job. I mean, I'd been working since I was 14 with Pure Mania, but then my first real job from a real company was Whole Foods. And I started off in the bakery for just under a year and then transferred into Whole Body. And as they say, the rest is history.
So would like, just as a side question, would working for Whole Foods as a punk rock kid, would that be a kind of a sellout move?
I don't know.
Because Whole Foods are like kind of almost like the I am only joking, of course, but like they're like the big kind of conglomerate in the.
But and that's true. They had been taking over a lot of other companies back then. I worked for them for.
I love them.
Yeah, I worked for them.
They're really expensive, but I love it.
Yeah, they are pricey on some things. Some things are affordable though, but that's a whole other, But so I worked for them. I started in 2003, and then like 11 or 12 years or something I worked for them. They hadn't been bought out by Amazon yet, stuff like that. But I don't know. I love independent health food stores as well, but I just worked for Whole Foods. And, back then, like customer service was like a huge thing. And I felt like it was a positive thing to work there because like I feel like they instilled good values in people, like work ethic and stuff. Like, I don't know.
And it's good stuff. It's like you walk into those places and I guess it's really overwhelming for people that are just walking into this stuff, but then they find like people like you. Hey, let's say people like you, they find you, and then you watch one of your videos and it'd be like you'll be talking about what was the one I really liked? You were talking about the cognition.
Fish oil. That one?
Oh, was it fish oil?
I did the study kit, the brain one with the genius.
That's it, yeah. And little things like that, they can like learn a little bit and then go into somewhere like Whole Foods, and like they don't have to be bombarded by all this stuff, and find that one thing, try it out for themselves, and then comment down below on your videos.
Yeah, and so that's another thing. I mean, granted, like I don't know that I will. I won't say I won't, but I don't know that I will have access to like all of the people, right? But what I'm saying is like you go into a health food store and more the employees aren't really smart. Like in the wellness department, they're not passionate about it. They don't make a point to make it their like fucking life mission to like learn about this stuff. So like you can be steered in the wrong direction, which again is like, that's why I started my business. So
that's cool. So do you feel like now it's kind of like, you had the punk rock roots and then you come up through and then you've been learning this stuff on the side. Do you feel like now, now you're especially doing this channel, do you feel like it's all kind of like those two worlds have finally come together?
Yeah.
I've done this a few times, I've realized, but it feels very much like
same excitement.
Yeah. But
yeah, it does though. It feels like this feels right. Like I feel like I mean, like, and I'm not making money doing interviews or doing this stuff.
Not yet.
But I love doing it. And like that, I'm just excited. And like, I love talking to everyone, the people in the bands and the educators. Cause I have so I interview musicians and educators. Mm-hmm. Smart people, and like psychology, philosophy, wellness, stuff like that. So I love just talking about this stuff and making people feel comfortable and sharing their stories, to help someone else. I just love it.
And it's funny, isn't it? Like without that love, that's when you'll get to these dead ends in your career or your relationship or whatever it is, because you haven't got that like kindling for the fire. And it's like, now that you know that you've got these two worlds that are both part of you and you can actually just be yourself, like, isn't that like nice to be able to just kind of relax and go, oh, all that stuff wasn't just nonsense. It was all part of this, my story. Like,
yeah. And it's cool just to see how things end up falling into place. And like, you know, when like like, because I told you yesterday, actually, how I was feeling stressed because I didn't know how I was going to really, I don't have a strategy yet for how I'm going to release all this and promote all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, just chill and it'll show up. And then I went to the beach last night for the full moon and I was relaxed and I was, like, just thinking about everything I'm grateful for and kind of setting my new like focus for the next lunar cycle and stuff for myself. And then I had like 3 really good ideas that just showed up. So
It's nuts. It's like with that stuff, I've noticed it's, we get those moments and we're like, oh, I don't know what the next thing is. I've got to do, I've got like 2021 and like, all the stuff that happened in 2020, nobody predicted. And it's funny, what I've been practicing is, okay, let me just pause for a second. Haven't I in the past just figured stuff out and just showed up and got things done? And it's like, why is this any different? It's like, I will figure out what I need to do. It will either work or it'll fail, and I'll learn from that fail and do it better next time. And so anytime I get in that moment of overwhelm, I just do the things that we know and breathe and all the techniques, and then you just go to the beach and the thought comes and you go,
yeah.
Just on that note, actually, like, what do you do now that's brings in like balance into your life? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I still journal and I
Yeah,
have a gratitude journal that I do.
very good.
And I do some meditating because like I know a guy who's helped with that. And
You got to wink when you say that. I know a guy.
I did the hand gesture.
I know you missed the wink. That's what I was saying. That's a really important bit.
Hey, I know a guy. See, I don't wink well.
No, I didn't either. I was like, is that even a wink?
So journaling, meditation, I make a point to get into nature more. I love nature, but it's easy to like focus on work and do other shit instead. And so like I make a point to put myself in nature more, and that helps tremendously. And also just kind of like the path of least resistance has helped me a lot.
Good one. Do you like find with I don't know why I'm so fixated on the punk element of this for some reason, but I think I just want to know because I'm interested myself. Like when you meet people and people coming through to your business and like going, oh, I recognize this person. I didn't mean necessarily like that, but like I relate to this person.
Yeah.
Do you find there's a lot of resistance towards like the wellness and like looking after yourself when?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's
How do you
not
communicate
cool,
that?
it's not cool
Yeah.
to like I don't drink. I never have.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that is because my dad was an alcoholic, and so I see that and I'm like, and plus, and maybe it's in response to that, but I'm like super type A, and so I don't want to be out of control of myself. And my brother, this is a tangent, but one time, this was years ago, but he told me, he's like, you're not a real punk rocker because you don't do drugs and you don't drink.
What about the straight edge movement?
Right? I know, which I guess technically I mean, pretty straight edge, but I don't like labels. I don't like to identify with stuff, but no, but I mean, but what he said though, it goes back to what you said. It's telling, where it's like, you're not really in the scene if you don't do that kind of stuff, which is fucking bullshit, because the scene is more than substances, going down your throat and up your fucking nose. Like it's still community and, friends and the music and, the closer part of it. Everyone likes to like, wear like a Fred Perry or like a fucking spiked, jacket, whatever. So it's not, but I feel like it's a thing. Like people think that it's not cool to be, to take care of yourself. But the more people I've been talking to, and people who on the surface, you wouldn't expect it, you find out, oh my gosh, they do meditate, or they do take breaks from using their phone and social media. They do breathing techniques. They do breathing techniques to help with their anxiety, because fucking everybody has anxiety now, thanks to like technology and the world we live in. So
Yeah.
it's like a two-sided thing. I think people think it's not cool, so then they don't want to do stuff like that, and they keep just, living this hard, not sustainable kind of lifestyle. But then on the same note, there are people who are doing those things, but they're not talking about it. So then we think they're not doing them.
Yeah, I think thanks to people like you, like I think this is how we're going to change it. Because I mean, you're working specifically with like rock and roll, punk, and like I guess that brings in metal and all, just any of that kind of thing. It's the roots in that is hellfire, destruction, self like abuse, and like it really is. It was kind of against everything, and that came with a crazy life and a hard drinking, heavy smoking, and like. It's kind of part of the old world now. Like we've seen the damage, the needle and the damage done, to quote the song, and now it is a different time to we've kind of moved out of that, I think. And all those old rockers, we're not producing those people anymore for that reason, because they all fucking died. Like, and we're getting to the point where we're like, okay, they made really cool music, absolutely. However, I want to just live a bit longer now. So
yeah.
So that's cool. So you're bringing in the meditation, you're bringing in the breathing, you're bringing in the wellness. Is there anything you would say to like the younger generation of people that haven't quite got there yet? Like, what would be like a stepping stone, like advice wise, from you?
Cut back on your social media engagement like 90%, 95%, and
95.5.
99.9%. Stop using social media. I didn't even want my business to be on social media because personally I don't like it, and because there's so like depression rates, suicide rates, all of these things go up in correlation with social media. So I was like, I don't want to be on it because it's like against what, to me, it's against what my mission is and what I'm promoting, health and wellness. And then I'm on social media, which I feel like is like the fucking devil. However, people are on social media, fact. Businesses are on social media, fact. So if I can be on there and at least put helpful content for the people that are on there, then that's okay.
And also, like, I don't know, I always just kind of promote when I'm talking to people, like, it's not the platform that's the devil, it's what comes with it. It's the way it's designed to kind of keep you on there. We're starting to realize that stuff. But if you're a conscious being and you're aware of what you're using, whether it's a drug, whether it's technology, I personally go on with a mission. I'm like, I have a post, and that's why sometimes I don't see like your posts and other people's posts. It's because I go on and it's, bang, 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 doing the thing, connecting with the people that I need to connect with, and then I'm off.
Yeah, you're on there for like work and not just like scrolling.
Oh no, I'll have a scroll now and again as well, but I separate the two. So like when it's work mode, I'm on there to do a mission and connect with people and really like do what that fire, I have that fire, like you've got that fire, and it's for something, it's a purpose. I'm there to do something. Mm-hmm. And then because I'm a human being, I'll have a little scroll from time to time, but just monitor that process instead of like, oh look, an hour's gone past, like my thumb hurts, but you can't stop scrolling. Like, it's like, dude, get out.
Yeah.
Put the phone down.
But that's the other thing is you shouldn't have an hour to want to even be available, really, technically, like most days. So to answer the question from before, okay, words to tell someone, be off social media less, and figure out like, and it's not easy, and it can be trial and error, and your passion can change, but figure out what your passion is and what you want to contribute to the world, and to love yourself.
Nice. And when did you, before I ask you my big 8th question, when did you feel like you got that? When did you feel like you knew what all this is? Like, when did that happen?
April and November.
So specifically.
I ended up like, I had met someone and they sort of like tipped off some weird shit in my head. And then I ended up going down like this fucking rabbit hole of like, as people call it, a spiritual awakening kind of a thing. And I've always thought, and I did, but it was just different versions or different degrees. But like I always thought I cared about myself, and I journaled, and I wanted to like work on myself and be a better version and all these kinds of things. And then yeah, it was, I just, started on this path and, figured out like, oh, there's like frequencies and energy and all of this stuff. And it's fascinating and it's interesting. And I choose to I like a lot of it, I mean, some of it, I don't know, some of it maybe still seems a little strange or weird, but like, I think it was one of the videos you just put out. You were like, yeah, about like placebo stuff or different like healing modalities. Like, if you feel better and it works, like, that's all that matters.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who like won't try things because it's maybe there's some kind of even like religious connotation to some of this stuff. I totally get it. Like as someone who was atheist and then kind of went to agnostic and then kind of just like, well, I don't even care about the question anymore. Like I get it. Like some people be freaked out, but when it's health, it's like, just do all of the things and then report back to yourself afterwards. Like, yeah. Okay, I knew that wasn't going to work and look, it didn't. But when you close yourself off because of like, it doesn't mean you have to subscribe to a philosophy or a religion or any of that stuff.
To give yourself the opportunity to try something, and you don't have to fucking blast it out to all your friends that you're trying something. Just do it for yourself and see how it feels. Like no one has
That's a good point. That's how I quit smoking. Was I didn't tell anybody because I watched all my friends go, oh yeah, I'm quitting smoking, and then we get drunk and people go, do you want one? And go, yeah, and I clicked. I was like, after seeing all my friends fail, I was like, oh, I get it. You don't tell anybody. And then when people say, do you want to come for a smoke? You say, oh, I'm all right. And then I started watching people go, okay. Yeah. And then before like a year later, I was like, I quit smoking, because it's always your friends that try and pull you down. I reckon people on their own will get everything done. It's people don't want people to succeed sometimes because it makes them not want to address their own shit. Mm-hmm. And this is stuff that we'll probably find a lot, as we come up and talking about this stuff. Like, your close friends remain there and encourage you, and a lot of people try and, don't shine too bright.
And it's true. And for people who are like watching this when this airs, if you're ready to start making changes in your life, do it. And you're gonna have friends that might make it difficult for you, so you have to like have the wherewithal to separate from them and to keep focusing and prioritizing yourself.
And sometimes if those friends like that it might just be this time, like it might be in a year, they'll come back around when they're in a happier place, and you can kind of, it's knowing that's like, oh, I'm not just losing them right now, it's just maybe I'm going through something, they're going through something, we just need to kind of flow around the rock for a little bit.
Life is not like, these moments aren't finite, and you just have to triage at the time, and then you can regroup down the road.
So I have one more question, if you don't mind.
I do mind.
I thought so. I was feeling that vibe. You were like, I'm done here. Like, I'm bored of talking about me. Is my light okay? I feel like it's just got like winter and winter. It's dark.
It's fine.
So I just wanted to know, I guess mainly, I have a few supplements myself. Like over the years, I've like tried like loads, and then I've kind of got it down to just a few, what I like to just call classics that I know just do the job. I just wanted to know, like, that's kind of your main gig, really, knowing all that stuff. Like, what, I guess it'd be a two-part question, would be, what are your favorite sups? Like, what sups do you take? And what sups would you...
an app.
Shh, that's the stuff you say offline. Mate, you've just... As soon as you put this out, that app's done. And you're like, I had that idea. Got to keep that stuff quiet. It's a really good idea. What sups would you sort of recommend to people to try as like a basic kind of level to kind of, hook them in?
It really does vary so much on the individual. Sure. However, pretty much everyone can use stress management support. cognition support, and like checking the boxes for like daily health. So like the daily basics kit that Welly P sells is a which is all food sourced multivitamin, and then it's paired with a kind of like a multivitamin of mushrooms. It's a blend of 7 mushrooms.
Awesome.
So it's all food sourced, which means, again, your body recognizes it and it's absorbing it. So if you're spending money on supplements, hey, congratulations, you're absorbing them now. So that's cool. But that's going to help with just sort of like overall like immune support, and just sort of like making sure that like these levels of different minerals and stuff, which you might not be getting out of your diet, are kind of like at the right level, which plays into, I mean, for example, magnesium is part of 300 enzymatic functions in the body. 300 functions in the body rely on magnesium, and magnesium is often, it's often
left out of conversation.
And people's diet. So the stress support kit that we sell has a magnesium and also a blend of herbs and mushrooms that help. So a lot of the kits too, they're crafted so it's sort of like a long-term support, like a slow build, nourishing your system, and then kind of more an acute support. So like when you're in the moment and you need, like relief, you can take that, whether it's immune or stress or whatever. They're kind of crafted that way.
Yeah, it's funny with supplements as well. Like I guess for people who don't really know about supplements, it's like sometimes it's not like a quick fix to get you like there. It's like you take these supplements and you notice over time that you don't have those symptoms anymore. So it's like the prevention is the cure, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah,
like just
preventative health. And the other thing with supplements, I mean, I love them. I think they're great. However, it's one slice of the pie. We know exercise is important. I mean, that helps with like mood support and your immune support, and then eating well, omitting sugar, listen to your body, what feels good, what feels like shit when you're consuming foods, and cut things out. And it's a lifestyle change, and supplements are one part of it.
Have you heard of Dr. Schultz?
Uh-uh.
It's this American, he's like badass dude, quite a lot older, and he's just so blunt with what he does, and he on his website it was like, don't even contact me unless you're drinking this much water, you've reduced this in your diet, you do exercise. And he basically had this like maybe 6 kind of just what he thinks people should be doing generally. He goes, if your symptoms are still there afterwards, okay. But if, he was like really kind of like, just don't bother me, because that's most of everybody's crap is in everything that you've just said, like just the basics, which if you don't know, you don't know. But when you start to learn this stuff, it's like, just, that's awesome. And then I guess just lastly is like, is there a specific time to take supplements over other times, like on an empty stomach? Or because I know I had some zinc once without eating any food, and it was like awful. And then
it varies on the supplement. I mean, like B complexes, generally like you want food in your stomach, but also another thing, when you're doing like if it's a true food sourced supplement, that would be, I mean, unless you're very, very sensitive, but I mean, you're eating food, it's food encapsulated, you know what I mean? So like, it depends on what it is. Another thing though to be aware of is like, if you're taking a multivitamin and vitamin C, for example, take the C separately, because if you imagine a cup, you take the multi and you're getting this much vitamin C, and then you take your vitamin C pill and then you're here, and then it's just all flushing out. You've already maxed out the absorbency. So being aware of spacing things out. And if you have a multi that's like 3 pills a day, try and take a couple here and then like 1 here. So again,
instead of just, So I guess it is pretty complex, but I guess what you're suggesting is just kind of like lean into it and test stuff out for yourself. Like,
and if someone has questions, like legit, I'm here, like ask me a fucking question. I like it.
Well, it's literally what I'm doing now. I've just like asked you all the things. And now, like, actually kind of on that note, I do feel like I've got what I needed and I'm ready to commit. I'm ready for the kits. What would you recommend for someone like me? let's say I'm not on the road at the moment with music, but like as a starter kit, what's in your starter kit, and would that work for someone like me?
Yeah. Yes, you could do the daily basics kit. It is vegan. Um, I like.
Shh, don't tell people I'm a vegan. That's
I'm gonna
another
cut it
rule.
out.
Keep it quiet. Yeah.
Um,
We found another one. Hunt
but
him.
a lot of people, again, like that shit's trending, and so a lot of people are making choices, for what they want to consume. And a lot of the stuff that we carry is vegan, or it's free of soy, or it's it pertains to a lot of allergens. So the products are speaking to that for people, so they've got
It's
stuff.
because you're on the pulse. You're on the
Yeah.
pulse.
Um, I have a musician's kit that supports. Well, someone said that I should maybe be more specific with what the kit is called. So it is a singer's kit, um, and it has a throat spray, an herbal throat spray. It has a spray with a mushroom blend for immune support, and then also there's a mushroom pills in there that help with energy levels, oxygen uptake, respiratory, like lung support and stuff like that. So that's cool.
My voice is going because I've been doing a lot of talking, just like coaching, and like even when I'm not singing, I've been recording and practicing, and it's
Yeah.
like, so I guess it's not even just for singers really, but like, I mean, the mushrooms, I've learned so much. I hate mushrooms, and I'm so happy that when they're blended, like it, because they're so powerful, aren't they? Like,
Yeah. Well, and another interesting thing on mushrooms is, so there's the fruiting body, which is what you see above the ground. And then below the ground is like, like the roots, the mycelium. And
right.
all the, like, I mean, most, not all, but most of the amazing benefits, all the compounds and all that of mushrooms are in the mycelium. So technically, like, they use some fruiting body, but it's mostly like the root structure that is in there. So when you're taking the pills, I mean, like, even like the fruiting body's not really even in there.
Oh, right. Oh man. Yes, it's like so much stuff. Like it's like a whole, and because you know so much stuff, it's you're just like throwing this knowledge out there, and it's just like, well, look, I feel totally informed and better for chatting with you, obviously, of course, always. Do you have any last, oh, hang on, not last words, I should never say that. Have you got any final words for anyone that's watching to maybe encourage them to watch the rest of your amazing channel?
Yeah. So there's going to be interviews with musicians and valuable educators and all kinds of cool shit. So if you're ready to start making steps, towards wellness, this is a good place to be.
Maybe like the pre-step before buying the supplements is just to watch you and learn this stuff and just kind of get connected and get
Yeah.
the tips and then kind of
Yeah.
piece it together. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just, if I don't resonate with everybody, but if I do, and if the musicians, that we're talking with resonate with you, then watch, and likely something will click and you'll be better for it.
That's what I've got to say for that. Well, I mean, you're awesome. You're doing awesome. I'm so happy for all your success. It's on the up, 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 up. And it's only because you're doing the work and, you've got the goods and the know-how, and it's inspirational. So I just want to say thanks for inviting me onto your show. And I look forward to hanging out next time.
Yeah. And thank you for making time between all of your tea drinking to be here. Yeah, thanks for using your voice on this with me.
Oh, well, you're quite welcome. And well, yeah, I look forward to the next time.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Bye.